This is going to be a little bit different than just your general open the stuff up with the nice gloves and see what's inside. A big shout out and thank you to mwave.com.au for sending us this RTX 3090. Not always do you need the best GPU to do edits, and different editing platforms utilize different parts of your computer. So that's something to know and something that we're going to go over. We're going to also talk about why this is the best GPU in the world currently right now. Fastest, greatest, biggest. Who is this for? Price, its benefits, where it stands on the market, and hopefully not take too much of your time. Alright, so we're going to start the unboxing. I think we need better unboxing scissors. This thing is going to go into our editing laptop where we're going to primarily edit in DaVinci, and that is probably why we need a very strong GPU, because DaVinci, unlike the other platforms, for instance Adobe, does use the GPU power. Premiere utilizes CPU. So that's something to keep in mind. So you can see there's all this stuff. Okay, now the big boy. This thing's heavy. It's beautiful. So being very careful with all these things. When you open them up, you always want to open them the right side up and make sure you don't get any dust or fingerprints on any of the connectors. You can see this comes in a pretty nice box. Oh, there she is. Alrighty. You know, it smells like a new car in here. As far as the unboxing, you know, this is the part that I was saying, like, you should never touch and you should always keep closed until you're actually ready to put it into your computer. One of the great things here is the fans, that it does blow out the hot air through the back. It's quite a big GPU. And we'll go over its size in just a second. So what else you get in the box is one of these things that has basically some warning, cables, and a booklet, a quick start guide, and a support guide. And keeping it minimalistic and simple, that's all you get. That's kind of our box opening, but we will go over a couple of things about this GPU. So do you need it? Do you need this much horsepower, this much cubic cores? Like, now look, the biggest part of this GPU is the 24 gigabyte of RAM. This is really important for video editors. If you're not a video editor, you're probably not going to be utilizing, that much RAM, you know? So realistically, this is a content creator GPU, and I think it's been marketed as such. It's really replaced not the 2080 Ti, but rather the Titan. So if you're looking to get it, if you're a gamer, it's probably an overkill. It's going to be really big for your machine, and it is a lot more expensive than the 3080, and the 3080 is actually probably the best bang for your buck as far as value goes. So I would recommend the 3080 if you're a gamer. Now, if you're a gamer who wants to, you know, play 8K and wants to get that TV, which is like ridiculously expensive at the moment, then maybe this is the GPU for you. But anybody short of, you know, playing 8K in the very foreseeable near future, probably go for the 3080. If you're a content creator, look, if you are editing anything above 6K, you probably will benefit from this, even 4K. Now, I don't know how complex your edits are, but if you're starting to put a lot of things on your timeline, a lot of effects, a lot of overlays, you will start using up that RAM. Now, this is when this little beast will come into play, especially if you're doing this color corrections in DaVinci and you got your, you know, really elaborate thing going on there with all your color edits and all your different things that you're doing. This is really going to help you streamline those projects, have them play back really well, and it's just going to chew through those things. So if you know that you need stuff like that, you will benefit from it. But again, you know, if you're just a content creator and you that is doing stuff for YouTube and you have basic videos with very little editing, very little color correction, you sort of just like to get the color straight out of camera, this might not be the GPU for you. You know, this might be, again, a total overkill. You could probably get away with a 3080 or even a 3070. So, as I said, some platforms, they don't rely on the GPU. So if you're editing in Final Cut or even Premiere, you don't need a beast of a GPU, and that's something that you should go and research, but definitely don't just spend a lot of money on a GPU and put yourself out of pocket on the other things that you could buy. Even especially for the computer, like the CPU or the memory, or the stuff for your, video gear that, you really need to make content. So, just know what workflow you're working with before, you make these decisions. Now, the other thing to keep in mind about needing this is bottlenecking. So if you really love it and you just really want to get the 3090 and you're also a gamer, just be careful that if you do not have the fastest SSD drives and hard drives working in your machine, in your system, you will bottleneck your performance. And the GPU will actually, you will not see that much benefit from it, because if your system is not able to send the information through the hard drives fast, this will actually not help you. So just make sure that all the other specs of your machine line up to what this requires, and you're not being bottlenecked by a slow hard drive or other components like a CPU, because you really do need SSD drives for this beast. There's like, if you just have like your regular 520 hard drives, 5200 hard drives, you are going to bottleneck yourself, and you're not going to see the performance that you could see from something like this. Now, the things to watch out for in this is definitely, the size. So this is quite a big chunk of metal. I think it's almost like 12 inches to like 3 inches or something. And the 3080 is actually not that much smaller. So if you do want the smaller one, you should go to the 3070. Now that's the one that gets quite a bit small. I think it still uses 2 slots, but it's probably like roughly the same size as the 2000 series. So with the 3000 series, the 3090 and the 3080 quite large, although the 3090 uses 3 slots while the 3080 uses 2 slots. So that's just something to really keep in mind, because if you're not able to put this into your PC, then so you might ask yourself, what is the benefit? It's the cubic cores. And that's why this is the fastest GPU, or the best, let's say, the best GPU in the world at the moment. It has something, I don't want to be nitpicking on how many cores it has, but it has something like 10,000 cubic cores. And the Titan has something like 4,600, something like that. This just blows that away. And the Titan is double the price. Here in Australia, we can get it for $4,000. Well, these you can pick up, well, not exactly, this one I picked up, I think, for 2,500. So that's almost half the price. And if you think about it, to this day, the 2080 Ti, which is an 11 gigabyte RAM with about 4,000 cubic cores, is still going for $2,500. So it's just really crazy that they released this and made this cheaper than their older car. I don't understand why they did it and why they killed the market, but definitely maybe something to do with the PS5s and the new Xboxes. But this card just basically, or the 3000 series, just basically blows away the 2000 series in price and performance. The other one is the Quadro, which is like 10 grand, but the Quadro, even at 10 grand, it still only has 4,600 cubic cores. But where it really shines is that it has 48 gigabytes of RAM. So, if you need that much RAM, and people that need that much RAM, like the visual effects editors, a lot of the animation, and all the other programming and computing stuff, the science research, now they need that much RAM. So that's why, they probably don't sell many of those cards. I don't know what's the deal, but it is 4 times more expensive. And honestly, you could buy 2 of these still for half the price. You could, chain them up, and you probably have a better card. Now, just like a little thing, it's like, why then is it so much cheaper than the Titan? Isn't more expensive stuff should be better? And I think the simplest answer to that for any people who are a little bit hesitant on this card is the fact that the Titan is smaller, and I think a smaller card basically will cost more money to make, and that makes sense because smaller parts are more expensive. So this is a bigger card with, I guess, bigger, cheaper components.